All right, you guys, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we are talking with an actual professional. I know y'all love my advice, but I'm going to bring y'all a professional today. So how do you overcome anxiety about telling someone about living with hidradenitis suppurativa or just any type of chronic disease?
Okay, so first thing that I would say is to really get honest with yourself about where you are, how you feel, right? You know, there's some kind of pre-work of being honest with yourself about having this condition to begin with, right? Because if we don't have acceptance there, that's already going to make everything harder to tell someone else, right? So I would say that first. Second thing was going to be, once you have a good understanding of what works for you, right? Like, how do you actually feel? What's going to affect you in terms of telling them sooner or later, right? And you can be honest with yourself about that. Then you have a better idea of how much stress or anxiety you'll have if you wait or if you do not wait, right? And you get an idea of like how protective are you going to be for yourself, right? Like what actually works for you in terms of not telling them. Is that going to create more anxiety inside of you? Is that going to make you feel more protective? Or is being really upfront in the beginning and letting them know ahead of time feel more protective for you, right? So everybody is going to kind of figure that out for themselves, right?
Right. How do you not internalize the rejection?
Right. So the main thing is going to be calling a thing, right? Like, we cannot control what other people do, right? We can only control what we do, right? So when other people are doing things, we can just let it be what it is. Whatever they say, it is what it is, and we don't need to make that mean anything else, right? What people say to us, what they do to us, that says anything about them. It has nothing to do with you, right? And I think that a lot of the time we often will take what somebody is saying and then make that mean something about us. So if they say, oh no, I don't know if I'm willing to, deal with that, then that might mean to us, oh, I'm unattractive, or oh, I'm too much, or when that's not really what they said, right? And so we kind of take that and we kind of connect dots that don't exist, right? And so we want to be able to stop doing that and just let it be what it is and not call it anything else, right? Other than that.
One thing that you said to me that really spoke it took me to church, y'all, is I was telling her about core emotions, right? There's things that we feel, but it all goes back to these core emotions of anger, anxiety, shame, and these different things. And you said something about what are our beliefs?
Yes.
So if you can touch on that.
Yeah. So when you're talking about the emotions, it made me think about the emotions are kind of at the top, right? But really underneath it all is the core beliefs, right? And that's really the issue. And so we can talk about the emotions, and I love emotions. Emotions are great. But really, if we're going to the core, we need to figure out what is it that we believe and when do we get those beliefs, right? Usually we're talking about core beliefs. We usually tend to get those in childhood, right? In childhood or any impactful moments in our life, right? And so what happens is we end up having this cognitive dissonance, right? Where like we know something to be true, but it still doesn't feel true, right? Or we know something is not true. Like if I have the thought that I'm ugly, right? Like I know it's not true, but it still feels true, right? And so there's a dissonance there. And so the emotions are helpful. If we're really gonna, heal and work on resolving that, is really getting down to what are the core beliefs, right? And how can we actively work to create a new belief? So that way, if we have an old belief and a new belief, we want to be increasing the new belief and decreasing the other one, so that way the scales too.
Right. So last question, because y'all don't want to take all her day, is how do I confront those core beliefs? Like I have a core belief. I might have one that I'm not going to be able to find love, because who can love someone who has a skin condition, whose skin is constantly, in pain, and like it's just too much to handle. Like why would somebody want to put up with that? Like how do I actually confront this?
So like even just hearing you say that, the core belief that I can identify there is I'm unlovable. Right? Because you have a lot of thoughts surrounding what belief is, I'm unlovable, right? Which is not a truth. It's just an idea that I have and that I currently subscribe to, right? And so a lot of it is kind of looking back to say, okay, when did I start subscribing to this? Did I just auto-subscribe because I learned it from somewhere else? Did somebody tell it to me? Like some people were telling me, kind of explicitly? Or did I kind of just pick up on it and I learned that, right? Whose words are they, right? When I hear that voice say that I'm unlovable, is it my voice? Is it my mom's voice? Is it my, like my fifth grade nemesis? Is it their voice? Right? And so then when we can do that, we can then assign it to them, right? Just say that it's not that I'm unlovable. They think I'm unlovable, right?
She said a word, y'all. She said assign it to them.
Right? And so we create this distance between that's their idea and then I have my idea, Even if I'm not sure what my idea is, I know it's not theirs. Right? And so that helps you to really create more space to say, okay, well, what do I believe? What do I want to believe? Right? Like, what's actually helpful for me? Right? Now I've gone off a tangent. I don't even know what the question was.
No, I love that. Listen, y'all, we're going to have to try to get Medicaid, Medicare, Blue Cross Blue Shield to pay her so that she can come talk to us.